Okay, I want to ask you about the media coverage for a second. I've seen sort of, there have been talks both sides of this game as a player, and then maybe someone as in sports media. The media around women's basketball has grown so much, but at times the coverage can feel a little click driven or focused on the wrong things. What responsibilities maybe do you think the media members have in shaping the conversations around sports, and where do you think that they could do better or we could do better, or even as women?
Obviously, I think it's really important, when you have a platform, um, that you're on, especially as women, as women of color, the representation. I do think it is a certain responsibility that you have to make sure that we aren't perpetuating any stereotypes, that we aren't seeing people as monoliths and anything less than human beings. I think you really have to, it's a certain responsibility that comes, with these platforms when we're talking to people and trying to create these safe spaces and trying to create, conversation and really drive conversation on very meaningful topics. I think it's really important how delicate you handle those situations. And it is a responsibility to make sure, we aren't perpetuating any stereotypes or, anything that disparage women in general, which is like quite the opposite of, why a lot of these spaces are supposed to exist. And I do agree with you that a lot of things are clickbaity. And so I think just having that integrity when you are on a platform to make sure how you speak about people, the messages that you're getting across, are human being based. And not necessarily just a space where you're trying to break down anybody, tear anybody down, show any type of schadenfreude, or harp on anybody's situation just for clicks or likes or comments. I think the engagement needs to be genuine. And I do think we have a responsibility, all of us in the media, but especially as women of color, having a platform to make sure that it's used for what it's created for, and that's to highlight, things going on, conversations, anecdotes, and spreading positivity and messaging. And so I think you're right about that, Lisa. And I appreciate the ones that do it like you, that use these platforms to uplift, and not necessarily looking for gotcha moments or to tear women or people down in general.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I do appreciate that. I am very aware. I think it's very important. We have enough with this social media, as you talked about. Social media can be a beast. We don't need to add to that. We are truth tellers, and it's just, I think, a way that you tell the truth without making people tearing a person down. And I do love the word that you use. It's a responsibility, because we have a responsibility to, yes, we're telling stories. And I think storytelling is so important in our industry, because a lot of times people don't know our whole story. They can be like, oh, I was always a fan of Skylar, but I didn't think about the fact that she have 2 kids every day, that she's coming out here doing what she's doing and killing, you know what I mean? And I think those are the things that I love to tell, and kind of peeling back some layers. But 100%, there is no reason, and I would never want to be a part of anything that tears women down, especially women of color. It's like, even when I said about, Aaliyah Boston and BG, and I was like, oh, I would have punched her. I'm like, oh, I'm mad at myself. Like, I didn't sleep well with that. And that's why I was like, let me put money in the crash out jar. Like, I owe her an apology. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, and that you can say, oh, that's not that bad. But still, for me, that's not where I want to be. I don't want that to happen. And I don't want to be a part of saying that. And, it may be small to other people, but to me, it was really big,
Yeah, it's important, especially, when legends like you can do it. I mean, unfortunately, it's a lot that's been placed on your back. It's a lot of people that watch you and look up to you, and, to see people like you doing it right. You know what I'm saying? That's a great example for all of us on what to do, from, all the topics that we talked about today, from having early success, to having success, on the floor, to becoming a mother, and, those resources that you lacked, the type of W that, you had to, bring out of where it was and to where you guys brought it to, and the level of basketball, and you doing the modeling and being a mom and doing other things, your visibility, the way that you continue to blaze trails for us, and the way that you use and continue to use your platform to uplift us, and on every level, from 5-on-5 to 3-on-3 to 1-on-1. We see that, we hear that, and it's amazing to hear legends, speak about you in that sense. And
Yeah,
so
thank you.
you always deserve your flowers, for everything that you've done for us. And a lot of us, including myself, model a lot of that behavior after you and how you did it. So right on.
Thank you.